Hello, and welcome to another episode of Adamo Baseball, where I'm your host, Adamo. And in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down the San Diego Padres. Yes, I've already done a contenders episode for my podcast, but I'm doing an episode where I'm legit breaking down the team because that contenders episode I did on my podcast, that one was more just me bragging about this team because, look, I am excited about this team. I've never been a hardcore fan one way or the other when it comes to San Diego, but I'm really excited about this team, and I have been for a couple of years now because this team is set up to win. And look, they're not going to win the NL West this year. The Dodgers are still they have too much still in place. Next year, it's fully possible. They could very easily win. They could win it all next year. I don't think it's going to be 2021, but I think 2022, this could be your World Series champion. The pieces are there. They do have an Achilles heel, like everyone. Like when I covered the Dodgers yesterday, I was bragging real hard about how they're probably the best team in baseball. And even they have a very specific Achilles heel. Well, the Padres have that too. And just like with the Dodgers, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the Padres' Achilles heel, their bullpen. Their closer will either be Emilio Pagan or Drew Pomerantz. Emilio Pagan, this will be the first time he'll have played for the same team 2 years in a row, and this is his fifth year in the league. He has 2019, he was with the Rays. He had a 2-ish ERA and 20 saves. His first year in the league, 2017, he pitched pretty well that year. 2018 and 2020, not so much. So, following that logic, it's an odd-numbered year, he's going to have a good year. That being said, baseball doesn't necessarily work like that. So it really comes down to, is he going to be able to get back on track, or is he not? And I have never been impressed with Drew Pomerantz. When the Red Sox won the World Series in 2018, he was the worst player on that team. That team had a couple of holes. Drew Pomerantz was one of them. He filled in the starter role because they were hurt and they just needed somebody. So he was the guy. And frankly, I think he's more for eating up innings. He's not a good pitcher. Mark Melancon and Taylor Williams are the other two guys. Taylor Williams has not been very good throughout his career. Melancon, he'll have an aberration year, but for the most part, he's actually pretty good. So he actually is the kind of pitcher you want to have in your bullpen. But he's their bright spot, and there's not a lot of them. So really, if the Padres make trades in July, it's going to be to beef up their bullpen. Maybe their catcher position too, but that's for different reasons. But yeah, the bullpen is their Achilles heel. I still think that they're going to make it through the wild card game, but they're probably going to play the Dodgers in the first round of the playoffs. That's what I'm projecting, and I think the bullpen's going to be why that they're not going to get past the Dodgers in the playoffs. This year, same as last year. Their rotation, however, this is part of what's got me super excited, and that episode I did back in January, a lot of it revolves around this. So, top of their rotation is Dinelson Lamet. He's gotten better by year. and there's no reason to believe that he won't be even better this year. I really think that he's starting to hit like the prime of his career, and that he's going to prove that yes, he is that one guy, and he's gonna maintain that for a while. 2 spot in the rotation. About the second the Padres were capable of signing him, they signed Yu Darvish from Chicago. And this is one of the things that's making San Diego a legit contender, because Yu Darvish does move the needle. Pitching third, another offseason signing. Part of why I think Tampa Bay is going to take a nosedive this year. San Diego, at number 3, has got Blake Snell. He wasn't just AL Rookie of the Year, I think in 2018. He won the AL Cy Young Award that year. And while he hasn't played at that super high level, he has played at an extremely high level. He's one of the best southpaws in the league, and you're looking at another game changer. So, yeah, he's one of the reasons why the Padres are contenders this year. Pitching fourth in the rotation, just Joe Musgrove, who they signed from Pittsburgh. He was one of the best players Pitt had for a while. So, having him fourth in your rotation when he could easily be a high-end 3, that's good. And the 5th guy in their rotation is a guy that I've been keeping my eye on for a couple of years now, Chris Paddock. He could easily be higher in the rotation. Now, barring injury, because everybody has those, Chris Paddock actually could end up going higher in the rotation. He's young. He's coming into his prime. He's another one that's been in the league for a couple of years but keeps getting better. Look out for Chris Paddock, okay? He could be an all-star too, and he's in the 5 slot. He is that good. And I may be building my expectations a bit high to only get him shot back down, but I love this rotation. I do. This is actually one of my favorite rotations in the league. It's not the best rotation, but it's one of my favorites. And they're going to be picking up a lot of the slack left by the bullpen, so look for the Padres starters to get a lot more pitches than you normally expect a team to give their starters. Now we get into the meat and potatoes of this team, the lineup, because this is the one that's caught most of the attention. So, leading off, Trent Grisham, center field. He hasn't actually played that much up to this point. 2020 was his first year where he had over... All right, so 2019, he didn't have 200 at-bats. He had enough for it to basically count. Then 2020, he had over 200. And his on-base percentage actually isn't bad. He can hit pretty well. Can he make that leap in his first full season? And will he be able to maintain that starter role? Because if he can, then yeah, that's pretty good. Number 2, this is the first name that comes to mind every single time someone thinks about the San Diego Padres. Fernando Tatis Jr. He just signed that 14-year, $300 and some million contract. The exact number doesn't even matter. He's going to be in San Diego for the rest of his career, and frankly, you want him in San Diego for the rest of his career. You want him to be that iconic. He's a better player than his dad was, and his dad was a good player, by the way. I want to make that clear. Fernando Tatis Sr. was a pretty good player, still known as the only guy to hit 2 grand slams in the same inning. Fernando Tatis Jr. is better than Dad. look, he's probably not going to hit 2 grand slams in the same inning. Everything has to play out perfectly for that. And look, just the odds of that even being possible are super low, let alone actually being able to do it. He does do, however, everything that his dad couldn't do, and he plays a great shortstop. His dad was a third baseman. Junior is one of, if not the best shortstop, or one of the best, if not the best shortstop in the league. Third, Manny Machado, third base. He's got a lot of power for a third baseman. You'll see a random, not top 10 play from him fielding, but for the most part, he actually is a really good third baseman. He's definitely better as a third baseman than he is as a shortstop. So he's at the right position on the field. Personally, I don't like the guy, but then again, this isn't about judging the player as a person. This is about judging the player as a player in this case, and he is in the third spot, and he should be. Batting fourth, this is one I'd be more apt to put second or fifth. Eric Hosmer, first base. He's not your home run hitter. Personally, I'd flip Tatis and Hosmer, and I think that that'd be a better lineup. Eric Hosmer can hit home runs. He's one of my favorite players. Okay, I love watching him play, but he's not a 30-plus home run year guy. So I think that it would be best not to have him hitting cleanup. That being said, I enjoy watching him play. Batting fifth, Will Myers, right field. He's had a bit of an up and down career. Whenever he's on top of his game, oh my God, he's amazing. But whenever he's not, it's a little squiffy. So I think that he can settle into that fifth spot in the lineup role, and he does play a good right field. So really, it comes down to that for him. Can he maintain that? Batting sixth in the lineup, Tommy Pham, left field. He's had some injury issues, but it looks like he's getting back into it. I saw a headline right before doing this episode that he actually is hitting better, that he actually is getting back into the groove, mostly known as a Ray and as a Cardinal throughout his career. It looks like he's coming off an aberration year. Again, I keep talking about how 2020 is all in our heads. And that as far as baseball is concerned, 2020 was a league of its own. And I think that Tommy Pham was one of the players that fell victim to that. Batting seventh, Jake Cronenworth, second base. I've never heard of him. I'm guessing that the Padres just needed to have someone there, so they picked him up. And there's really not a lot to talk about with him. Batting eighth. So it's very fortunate that I researched this beforehand, because originally I had Austin Nola as catcher, batting eighth. Well, he fractured his middle finger apparently a couple of days ago. When I filled this out, it was actually a week-ish ago, and I'm filming this on March 18th. So by the time this airs, it'll be old news. But yeah, it looks like they're going to be putting in Luis Campusano as the starting catcher. I'm only putting him eighth because I already had everything else filled out. And he has 3 at-bats for his entire career. He played in 1 game last year. So I know absolutely nothing about Luis Campusano. He may be good, he may not. We'll find out. And if they decide to go in a different direction and catcher at this point in the year, I have no idea what that direction it's going to be. The lineup as a whole is stacked. It's making a lot of noise as far as how many runs they're going to be scoring this year, because they're going to be scoring a lot. Their rotation is stacked. Their bullpen needs help. I think that they're a year away from being able to take the West. I do still think that the Dodgers win their 9th straight division title. No, I'm not making that up. 9th straight. The Giants won it in 2012. The Dodgers have won it every year since. I think the Padres prevent the Dodgers from winning it a 10th straight year. That is why I'm so excited for this team. It is possible that this team could go the distance. Seriously. We could all be surprised and the Padres end up being the team that gets their first crown in World Series history. That is fully possible. I don't think it's this year. I think we're a year away for San Diego before it's World Series or bust. I think next year we're looking at that. And those are my thoughts on the 2021 San Diego Padres. And if you'd like to let me know your thoughts, you can do so down in the comments below. Or if you're listening on my podcast, you can let me know on my Instagram page, Adamo_baseball. Or you can come over to my YouTube page. Let me know here. With that being said, thank you for listening. Cheers until next time.